In the dark, creatures crawl into the underworld. Afterlife, an abyss protects you. In the light, goddess of the sun brings you life. A deity, best it is her name. Come learn the ways of man, become one with the sand. The fate is in your hands. It's time to fight. You will rise, not fall. Never lose hope on the ground. We are one for all. The truth will always conquer. Capture the earth, chasing your mark. Get a lot mystical formation. Tear down the walls, beat on the drums. Let us claim this is war. In the dark, a river flows. The Nile is so exposed. A morning star is seen in our side. In the light, find your desert altar and your shrine. Look for peace, defeat the enemy. Run to the obelisk, defend this legacy. Fly to your destiny. It's time to fight. You will rise, not fall. Never lose hope on the ground. We are one for all. The truth will always conquer. Capture the earth, chasing your mark. Get a lot mystical formation. Turn on the walls, beat on the drums. Let us claim this. We rise, reach for the sky. Hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher. Conquer the ark. Get ready to fight for your life. We rise up. We are the kings, we're the queens. We are the gods, gods to solve this animation. Turn on the walls, making our mark. 'Cause we are the kings, we're the queens. Let's win this war.
What's going on, Governors? Chiscool here, and today I'm joined by Brian to cast a really hype Ark of Osiris match, 2377 versus 60 GT. This is a finals quality match in the semifinals. Whew, I'm hyped for this one. Brian, how are you feeling about the match we're about to spectate?
Chiscool, this is an exciting one. Both of these teams have had a pretty easy path to this point. We don't really know exactly how strong GV77 is this year in Osiris League. And on the other side, you've got 60 GT. They are a 4-time Realm champion, a former Grand Finals champion. And so this is just two of the best teams in the game, two of the strongest kingdoms in the game, battling it out to make it to the finals of the storied Realm of Anubis here in Osiris League.
Each of these teams has fought in KVK. Well, I think GV77 fought in KVK recently. I think that's all wrapped up. So if I'm not mistaken, they've got all their troops back. And GT...
They're still in KVK.
They are still in KVK.
Yep, I'm actually watching their map now. They're in Kingsland. They have plenty of territory. They have way more territory than their allies, and they're chilling. They're chilling in Kingsland.
They are probably days away from troop return. That's a bit of a
so,
GP.
yes.
Yikes. Okay. Not that it matters. That's the kind of team that's going to use their speed ups anyways, that they, if they have to, right? And the weirdness here for both of these teams is that on their way to the finals, neither has truly been challenged. We look at GT, they dominate every team. The most that an opponent seems to pull down is 14 to 15,000 points. We look at GV77 and the sort of path they've been on. They did actually have a really good battle versus 60MX. So I do take it back. They did have a good fight there. But then they fought against the team from my kingdom, which was just coming off of a Kingsland loss and has no troops. And my kingdom pretty much just folded there. So GV77, I suppose, has had more recent practice against 60MX. That's almost like the warm-up for this show here, is to fight the second alliance from that kingdom. And by the way, that I think happened while GV77 was in Kingsland, right?
Yeah, they were in the thick of the Kingsland fight there. They managed to break off their 30 players for an hour to fight against 60MX. It kind of got away with one there in a way. I think 60MX had some questionable skills cast mid and stuff like that. So, GV77 did what they needed to do to make it to this point. But I think you're right that in both cases, this is where we really get to see both teams. GV77 will be, if not at full strength, they will at least be fully focused on this match. And on the other hand, you have 60GT, who has, they're in the off season. They're looking to find a KVK match, and GT has had some departures in recent months. Their former king Leopard has left the game. Yep. Another leader, Fish, has also stepped away. But those, I think, were the KVK leaders, Chisel. I think they were the KVK movers and shakers for 60GT. My sense is that the ARC team is still intact for 960. I looked back at who was casting skills in some of their finals matches last season. Seawill was casting skills. Seawill is the reigning king of 960. And another player, TC, was casting quite a few skills for GT, and TC is a R4 in 60 GT right now.
There you go. So GT may still have a lot of their team intact, despite some critical departures, who were also presumably participating on the team. And I think, I don't know, between the two, we'll see how this goes. But given how close it was with the second team for 60 GT, I would assume, given GT's history, that they are favored in this matchup. But let me jump into the match now, and we can discuss a little bit more. I'm going to just fire up the match, smash spectate. We're on our way in. Here we go.
Yeah, 60 GT is a very big favorite from a betting perspective. And but I will tell you, Chiz, I was doing some deep research, and I actually found an unlisted YouTube video from January of this year where GV77 played 60 GT in an off-season ARC match. They stole their obelisk, and GV77 won by about 25k points.
I think I remember hearing about that. You found an unlisted YouTube video.
Yes, it was from Mr. Hope's perspective. GV77 has the father-son team of Mr. Hope and Wild Lion, two very, very big players, over 1 billion power. And that match was from Mr. Hope's perspective. And they stole the obelisk very early on and walked away with it.
I assume they're not going to pull that off again. Do you think in this match they just run it back? No way, right?
They have had master strategy on their bar in each of the last 2 weeks. 60 GT has not used master strategy, has not selected it, but GV77 has had master strategy on the bar in the past 2 matches. And I mean, they are a pretty big underdog here. I think that 60 GT is just like the traditionally stronger ARC team. So if you're going to take a big risk and if you're going to do a trick play, I think this is the kind of match you do it if you're GV77.
Shoot for the moon. If you think you're going to lose anyways, you may as well. Interesting. I mean, under the assumption that a traditional match favors GT, then GV absolutely must take the risks. The question is, will they pay off? I mean, the thing about 1% plays is 1% of the time they do work. So 99% of the time they don't. I don't know. I guess we'll see what they go for here. We'll watch the start and see if there's anything fishy. And I kind of hope that there is. It's certainly better spectating when some crazy stuff goes down.
Definitely, that's definitely true, and I would love to see a trick play by GV77. You always respect the teams who play to win, right? And if the way you play to win is to take the high risk plays, then that's the correct thing to do. You know, when you throw percentages on it, you know, a 1% risky play here, that might not work out, that might not math out, but because I just think, you know, time has passed in Rise of Kingdoms, and kingdoms like 2377 have had the chance to, for their equipment and their armaments, to perhaps catch up to 960 a little bit. So maybe they have a better than 1% chance to win in a straight up fight.
We go. Battle begins. Troops are on the move. Energetic activated for both sides. Very classic opener. And man, these guys are flying. They are still using triple line formation, which I think makes sense here. And we see this GT march on its way to the outpost on the opposing side. I think they'll probably follow a similar movement pattern.
Ward's starting to go down. So far, an offensive ward by GV77. Very standard wards, very standard wards by GT off the bat here.
Oh man, a little bit of a miss here. Somebody was a little distracted. They lost some time for sure toward their obelisk there. Total unforced error for 60 GT there. Bit of a yikes, but we're only talking about 5 seconds. As long as they don't actually push the obelisk at the start, that's not going to matter.
Yeah, first obelisk grabbed by GV77. You can see that mistake did cost them a few seconds on these alternating obelisks.
More than a few seconds, actually. I mean, we saw the march turn around and then go forward. That's like a full 17-second penalty there.
Only one sentry ward placed so far by GV77 in sort of a wonky spot behind 960's Shrine of War. Now a second ward being placed by GV77. So 2 aggressive wards by GV77 and nothing too crazy.
Yeah, they're looking to get vision for where GT is going. And I think that's really smart. I think they've chosen some lanes here that are very likely to take action. And they also have vision to their Sky Altar from this march. Hello? What are they up to? No way that they get this. Oh, here comes the rally.
You always got to take the shot. You know, you got to take the shot. But that's why you send a very fast cavalry rally, right? You get that cavalry rally into your own obelisk. You switch it to a cavalry garrison captain, and you know, you live to teleport in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. A little bit of a visual weirdness here. Rally's still on my screen, but it is in the structure. They didn't switch to a captain, which presumably they have in there. There it is. Okay, captain's in. And I don't think we're going to see any obelisk shenanigans at the start. No funny business. Just business as usual.
Yeah, actually, no offensive rallies here for GV77. They probably rallied their own obelisks, but no offensive rallies at all. They've just sent everybody in the field. 60 GT does have 2 rallies still marching towards the enemy obelisks. But sort of a conservative start here, I would say, for GV77. Not a lot of action on the outside lanes, and they're gonna butt heads at these desert altars as per usual.
And around here, where the action's gonna be, but I think it's just the altars. Pretty like standard stuff.
Yeah, it looks like 60 GT went defensive on the outside lanes and is choosing to have like heavy pressure on the 2 inside lanes, and then red team matched them essentially.
We see they're balling up here. GV77 in this very tight ball. This is the sort of thing we would expect to see. These are sort of like mini mid fights, the way this is gonna unfold here, and it is already unfolding in the top. The classic marches on the screen here. The likely triple cav, single infantry, single archer setup, where you've got your Zhuge Liang with Hermans, you've got your Skippy Liu Chez, and then the triple Cav setup. For some people, looks like they've got reinforcement marches. But I wouldn't expect anything crazy here. Like, what could realistically happen at these desert altars at the start?
Well, the only thing crazy that can happen is that one team wins a mid-fight comfortably and then decides to actually go for the first capture. Because to get the first capture, you can't just win the first fight. You have to actually also leave a bunch of marches there, not sad face them, and commit to defending that building until the first capture is locked in. So that's the only crazy thing that can happen here. But more significant than that is that 60GT just completely cleaned up this fight at their own desert altar.
Yeah, and they did it the other altar as well. This could end up being a bit of a GT sweep. If those fights are indicative, which I expect they are, this could be rather insane. I mean, honestly, GT equipment and armaments are just such an insane series of tiers above what all other kingdoms have access to. It's honestly like they're playing a different game.
They are, but at the same time, we've also seen 60GT do well in the Grand Prix, right? Not as strong as 1093, but they've competed very well in that when the equipment is all even. And they've just like played so many high-level ARC matches at this point, like Osiris League matches. They go so deep in all these seasons that I think they're also just like very good at Arc of Osiris. So it's just like a deadly, deadly combo.
Yeah, no doubt that they've gotten a lot of practice by virtue of being in all these other tournaments and consistently, I think, maintaining most likely a common set of players for the team. Makes a huge difference as well.
And they did add Osno recently. I can't remember exactly when they added Osno. I think Osno is like the #1 most kill points in the game, something like that. But he's a relatively new migrant, and if I'm not wrong, this is the first Osiris League that Osno will be playing with 60GT.
There he is now. A new player to the team, but certainly not an inexperienced player in Arc of Osiris. They were formerly on an Osiris League winning team. So a lot of experienced veterans here from GT.
Yeah, that's the kind of player you want to add to your kingdom, right? It's like most kill points in the game, former Osiris League champion, high performance, great performances in like some of the biggest KVKs in the game's history. It's just like, oh, you want to migrate to our kingdom? Yeah, well, we're fine with that.
We are seeing the Herod garrison here, which, look, if you've got the leadership gear, you got some good armaments for it, that thing can sustain for sure. And it's doing exactly that. It works really well when all the swarmers are lower health, but in this case, they are going to knock down this garrison. 18 seconds left. Will they get the garrison down in time for first capture to be thwarted? I don't think they will. Oh man, down to the wire. Wow. Crucial GV77 recovery of that structure. Wow.
Wow. That was super close.
Doesn't get much closer than that.
They heavy committed to it. They got the job done. They're going to be able to get to mid in time. They might be a little bit late, but they're still 4 minutes before mid spawn. So
they aren't going to mid.
Swarmed.
That's not their main plan anyways. Look at the force on the north side of the map.
Yeah.
They're going to take the altar and maybe also the shrine. This is a huge commit to the building plan. I loved it. I love this. I love this. Especially after that first.
And now they're bypassing the desert altar. They're moving away from the desert altar almost as if they want to set up an obelisk attack. I mean, maybe they go to the Shrine of Life, but I mean, why not? If you're going to just attack the desert altar, why don't you do it immediately?
I mean, if they were going to go for the obelisk, like why?
Dude, they're going to the obelisk. They are. They got to be. Oh, this is. Hey, this is the gamble right here. They are going for this gamble. They are trying to steal. They are trying to repeat what they did in January. They wait for the first mid fight, and then they just go charge for the obelisk. No master strategy. They literally just walk there.
There it is.
It's not. It might not be. Boy, this is
Dicey. There's too many marches
dicey.
already here.
It's dicey. But they have like a huge numbers advantage, and they're just charging right at it. So I mean, they can swarm this thing down, right, Chisgo? I mean, they can definitely swarm this obelisk down. A couple of players are reacting. Showtech from GT has turned around. Everyone's reacting by GT now.
Yeah,
but it's a little bit late.
There's no way they get this.
They have to hold it for 2 minutes. The problem for GV is they have to hold this obelisk for 2 minutes.
They have to master strategist more bodies into there if this is going to work. I don't think they have enough.
Yeah, they need to master strategy all these marches that are mid. They have a bunch of marches mid. The mid fight is actually almost even. The numbers mid are almost even right now.
They could theoretically contest middle because of all the people that have left to deal with this obelisk play. I think that when you have 2 players that are a billion power, it's kind of like a cool idea to try to run this play, and you just port them in and then have them swarm everything, right? Dust up activated. I don't know if we should be looking at the middle fight or the obelisk. I think the more important thing is actually the obelisk, technically.
Yeah, the bog downs were cast mid. Mid is underway. Mid is like pretty even, but like this is not a fake. This is not a fake obelisk attack because a bunch of marches from GV that could have gone mid are deciding to go to this obelisk instead.
Yeah.
So they're kind of going for both. They're kind of like halfway going for both.
I don't know how I feel about that.
If they win the mid, I'll be like, oh well, this was cool. Like it worked. Like all good.
If they hold this for 1 minute and 30 seconds, and they actually can port in these billion power players, they are cooking. Because they're just going to swarm zero everybody over and over.
Yeah, but these cities will stay. These GT cities, they're not going to port out any of these GT cities. These are some of the biggest players in the game. They're very experienced. They can afford the 50 gems that it costs to extinguish your wall. And it's going to just disrupt this obelisk. But it's not going to win them the match necessarily. But they have a minute. You know, they have a minute, and it would certainly help them if they can get Wild Lion and Mr. Hope over here.
Yeah, it would. They have a minute left, and the garrison's still full health. I wonder if the game... Oh, now the garrison is dropping real fast. They've almost just got to tunnel the garrison, honestly. Like, forget the field, bro. Like, they'll deal with the field when you deal with the field. The garrison is about to
all
pop.
low health. All of Red's field is like low health.
Yeah,
so it's like
not enough.
Yeah, you're right. You do have to just tunnel it.
There it is. There it is. It was a cute play. I don't think they had enough to get it done, and it cost them the arc.
Yeah, they lost mid as well. They lost mid by a lot.
So
yeah, I think cute play is a good way to describe it.
It
was.
was.
It was a fake. It almost would have worked better as a fake. You know.
It was like a 1%. I mean, we just talked about this, right? Like, if you're pretty sure you're not going to win, you playing to win means taking a 1% play like that and hoping it works out, and it didn't. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and they were 30 seconds away. They were 30 seconds away from stealing that obelisk. If Showtech hadn't turned around right away, maybe they get it. If some of the other players from GT hadn't gotten back to the obelisk in time, maybe they get it. They weren't too far away. The thing is, like, GT saw it. Like, as GV77 was going to that pyramid, sort of hiding at the pyramid before they ran in. GT saw it, and so it was just like they had a heads up about what was going to happen.
How many points is Master Strategist?
It's 6 points.
6. That's what I thought.
They could have warped in more.
They should have done it.
Yeah, you're right. They absolutely should have just warped mid over there.
Correct.
And they would have gotten the obelisk. It would not have necessarily won them the game, but if they had used Master Strategist there, I think that would have been enough to actually capture the obelisk.
Yeah. And if they captured the obelisk, I mean, like, I don't know. I guess it would be pretty disruptive. I mean,
and it won them. It beat GT 5 months ago. So, you know.
It just feels like they sort of half committed to the strategy instead of went to all in, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and that's, listen, like, that happens in like these high level arc matches when like the pressure is on. you just err towards being more conservative, you know?
Yeah, but you know, this is a GT match is not a match for being conservative, I think, is what we've concluded. And they're getting pretty worked right now. Let's see if we look at the buildings. Actually, I take it back. I mean, GV77 does have scoreboard for now. The arc is in the opposing hands. There's still plenty of time to do something in this game and to win. We sort of talk about it as though there's a finality to GT, an inevitability, and perhaps they have that, but there's still actually plenty of opportunity here for 77 to do something cool.
Yeah, and just a quick look at the total kills versus severely woundeds 20 minutes into this match. It's pretty even. GT has maybe a 10% advantage on kill points at this point. And that's really not that much. That means that GV77 can compete with them. But if you're a little bit behind on fighting, you have to be better on strategy and execution. And so far, it's been 60 GT that has been better on execution because they've cleaned up all of the sort of half-hearted threats from GV.
Yeah, I mean, GT's really not taking risks, and why should they? They just do their thing, play their game. The thing they've been doing. Standard stuff, adjustment here, adjustment there.
Yeah, even their wards from the very start of the game were like very basic, very standard wards in the middle of the map. It gave them the vision they needed to sniff out that attack by GV. And even the Hera garrisons are like a kind of a simple thing, right? It's like just throw anything in there. Get to the location of the fight, throw anything into this garrison, and you know our equipment and our armaments will take care of the rest. And there's something just very slick about teams that play that way. That play very clean. We keep it simple, we keep it strong, and we get the job done.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the ability to play clean, as you're describing, comes in part from sort of knowing you have an equipment and armament advantage. It means that if you play sort of fair arc, you're gonna win, all other things equal. And I think GT would say probably all other things are not equal. They would probably indicate they feel they've got a skill edge there as well in those situations. So for GT to play very, I think, conventional arc just makes a lot of sense.
They are also conventionally holding this first arc right now. It's sitting at their bottom side obelisk. They're either going to hold it for the max or wait for a good timing. A potential good timing would be, as we watch this Desert Altar go down, as we watch the 60 GT Desert Altar go down to Heavy Swarm, a good timing might be when they take back their own Desert Altar, which is going to be the next thing on their agenda. And at the moment, well, the GT still has occupation lead, but at the moment, the building advantage is actually both teams have one altar from the opposite side.
Looking around the map, a lot of building action here. I do wonder back to that question of when to score the arc, because if you're GT, you just feel like you could win these arcs as many times as you need. If yes, they're still down on the scoreboard. I guess after they score this arc, they'll be up, but like they haven't built a buffer yet that affords them the ability to lose arcs, if that makes sense. I don't know. I would err on the side of scoring, going for the possibility of more arcs, and just consistently delivering on those mid-fights, no?
You know, it also feels like GV77 is surprisingly effective on the sides. They've now also taken the Shrine of War from GT. They have pretty good presence at that Shrine of War. And so that's another reason to return this arc, is that GT has seemed to win like the obvious fights you know, they won the first fight at the Desert Altar where both teams balled up. They won the mid fight. But when this game gets dynamic, when the map has a bit of a chaotic and flowing nature to it, GV77 is pretty effective in the first 23 minutes of this match. So in that sense, yeah, you just kind of return the arc and make this game even more simple, where it's just like, let's win mid, win the game.
Right. Like create as many situations as possible where it's like our ball versus your ball, because we just win those.
Right. I mean, because, you know, let's see how effective GT is at taking back their Desert Altar on this top side. Because GV has a Hera Garrison in there. They have some nice field presence. Mr. Hope's here in the field. So, like, how long is it going to take 60 GT to actually take back this Desert Altar? Are they going to get it on the first attempt? Or is it going to be a little bit messy? Wild Lion here as well in the field for GV. So this is their, like, main lane. This is their strong lane. And they've got the building for now. I'm sure there's a rally coming out, but this is a pretty nice long hold for GV.
Yeah, and we do see the points per minute have swung from GT's favor to 77's favor. So a bit of a flip there in the points per minute. It's a part of the reason why I was suggesting, like, maybe just quickly create as many arcs as possible. Although at this point they do need to like stabilize, then score arc. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, they're taking back their buildings. They're going to get back the Shrine of War. There was only a Guan garrison in the Shrine of War. This attack on the Desert Altar looks very good.
And they got
they're taking back their
Shrine of
buildings
Life
now.
Yeah, this seems like a good time to score the arc, honestly.
Yeah. This is where I would return the arc, right?
Yeah. If you were really an Oracle, you'd have scored it. In fact, maybe a minute or two ago, right? Because there's going to be an opportunity here if they score the arc now for 77 to clap back on the buildings, and then it's sort of this contentious at the building's end in the middle. But look at this lead. 77's really pulled ahead nicely for themselves with that lead. Points per minute now back down to 440 for 77 to the 250 of GT.
Yeah, and you know, if you look at the Sky Altar on the top side, there's a Seawheel rally coming to it. There's no field for either team. It's literally just like, rally against garrison. And these are these like key moments, right? Where it's like, is that a full garrison? Is that a full rally? And those things like really matter in these really close matches. Like, because the field can't be everywhere, and you just get a lot of value if you actually fill up your buildings.
Oh, they're popping in. Good save by GT there, although here comes the rally. The arc did get scored, so I think GT capping it in before time means that they do feel like they want to go for more arcs, and they're leaving the door open for that third arc opportunity, which I think makes a lot of sense.
Definitely, and it was good timing. It was good timing by GT. Made a lot of sense, as we were talking about. And GT is, you know, they're defending. Well, they actually did lose that Shrine of Life, and they're also making a very good attack on the Sky Altar on that top side.
Yeah, really strong attack on that Sky Altar with reinforcements coming to support it. We do see the Eleanor Garrison here, which is very popular now in Arc.
Yeah, it's great. Everybody has 3 cavalry marches out in the field, so you know, it's natural to be able to fill this Eleanor with a lot of your marches.
There's just not enough here, though.
Fairly well. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting report, actually. I think to look at, just because like there was like some pretty like healthy swarm there. The rally traded positively, 1.6 million to 2.3. Overall battle data was a win for the attack, but it was like 280k severely wounded to 370k severely wounded. So I would say that Eleanor held up all right.
The 370k was
Eleanor. Yeah. So I mean, it lost, but it lost to a swarm and a full rally.
Yeah, it was pretty outnumbered.
Yeah. To me, that's respectable. I don't know. Maybe you're a Gorgo Garrison, Chiz, so you have like higher standards
for a swarm situation.
Yeah, us Cav
Hey, yo,
Garrisons, we just want like the even trade against the swarm.
I mean, I only expect to do well when I can actually put an Attila behind there. So in Arc, I don't have these big Gorgo expectations like I do in KVK.
Right.
Here we go. Swarms on this desert altar. Very close. GT could save this, and they are keeping that thing alive. I think they've bought themselves enough time here to keep this thing alive. This is going to be really big if 77 can't flip this, because the scoreboard is in favor of GT, both from a points per minute standpoint and from a total score. So GT is looking pretty good here.
Well, though, Wild Lion and Mr. Hope are going to get their marches back real quick. They're sad facing right now. They're going to get those marches back, and they're going to have them mid in time. Whereas you're about to see 60 GT just like run home as fast as they possibly can. Arc carriers try to run fast. These 60 GT marches are running as fast as they can to get home, refresh, and get to mid on time. Because Mr. Hope and Wild Lion are going to beat them there.
There's still plenty of time, though. On the temple, it says 4:22. So if the temple time is right, there's still a ton of time to get to middle. I think everybody gets there on time. What I think is
my
interesting...
timer is different. My timer is definitely different. It's 4 minutes for me. But the time on the top is like way lower, right?
I see
on the top is like
3:35 on the left and 4:03 on the temple.
Yeah. I mean, it's the top left is definitely lower.
Which one is right? Guess we'll find out. I think it's the temple time that's accurate.
Okay.
But I don't actually know. But we'll see. We'll see. We do see all these marches on their way over. I mean, should 77 have moved in more, given that they're getting here first? I'm not so sure.
I think it's too early. I think it's way too early. Like if you were to move in now, then 60 GT would be able to get back for like the second arc fight, the rebound arc fight. So I think you just have to take the temple. If I were GV77, I would have perhaps postured to the GT side of the temple, because you certainly have to the death at this point. This is a great time to cast to the death, and you love to cast to the death when the enemy is like literally charging right into you. So I would have maybe been a little bit more aggressive here and taken their temple. But their ball's really not that much bigger than 60 GT, so they're just playing it relatively safe. And everyone has their buildings back. Both teams have all their buildings back. It was a chaotic phase there, but everyone has gotten back what they needed and gotten to Arc on time. So pretty good execution by both teams, really.
Yeah, I mean, let's see where the chat's at. Put a 1 in the chat if you think GT is going to win this mid-brawl. Put a 2 in the chat if you think 77 is going to win this mid-brawl.
This is where I go full screen on the chat, because I don't want to get spoiled on anything during this match. Although at this point, none of us know what's going to happen in this mid-fight.
No one knows. I think it is pretty safe to assume that GT is likely to win, given how those first fights went. And we do see they've even got ranged units plinking away here.
They have the new ranged units too, right? Like they don't have the Margaret. They've got the new guy.
Oh, yeah, they're not fooling around, man.
The ranged march now redirecting to get better vision, to get more value.
It's just bullying them off the temple. Kind of hilarious.
It's also a bait, right? It's like if you see the ranged march there, you're like, can I please run across this field right now and attack the ranged march? Please, please let me do that.
Literally, this one march is controlling with the entire position of the enemy team. It's actually insane.
I'll also note that there is nobody on the sides. Like, there is nothing happening on the sides at all. There are like 5 or 6 marches total between both teams on the sides. Everyone is mid. Absolutely everyone is gearing up for this second mid fight.
Bog down. Both teams. Popular choice. to the death. Both teams. All right. This is the mirror. Who's it going to be?
This is why you build all those accounts. This is why you get all those armaments, you get all that equipment, you get all that tier 5 for this moment when you are fighting with your team, trying to do as much burst damage as you possibly can to an enemy deep in the Osiris League.
We look for the sad faces, and there are some GT sad faces going back too. I'm inclined to say there's more 77 sad faces.
It's close though.
It's not a landslide.
No.
Yet.
And GV got the first arc. Corgi grabbed that first arc, brought the arc to their side, which is all a nice bonus. But now that the sad faces are starting to rack up,
it sure
GV77
is looking that way.
Yeah.
The train has left the station. Choo choo. GT takes the arc, they bring it home, and that's a wrap for the mid fight.
Oof, man, they just hit so hard. They hit so freaking hard.
It's like I said, like when you know you can do that over and over, just create that situation as often as possible and run those arcs, you know?
I mean, it's the template that world champion Osiris League teams have been doing for a long time. I mean, this is what OV did. OV won mid. They were just a mid team, and they were just an absolute dynasty in the early days of Osiris League. And we're seeing the same thing from 60 GT now, where they're just an absolute dynasty by winning these mid fights.
Yeah.
And it's actually TC, their one of their shot callers, who has this arc on the Joan.
Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty resounding victory right there.
I can't complain about what GV77 did there. They disrupted the approach a little bit. I kind of like. I think the angle was cool. They had good movement, good coordinated movement, and the skills were good. You know, the skills were good from GV77. They had all their people there. They did what they could.
I mean, if there's a gameplay diff, it's like very hard to spectate what that diff is. Like maybe 77 was sad facing marches instead of leaving them low, or like it's very hard to say. But what I will add here is that I think the new dot mode makes it so that the skill diff for a mid fight is probably not as high as it once was.
I agree. Yep.
It's a lot easier to be decent at playing a mid brawl now. And so if there's not a huge skill diff, then all the other things that give you a nice edge there.
Yeah, I think there can be some like focusing, right? Like maybe telling people to focus on like, you know, target the top side of the ball, target the bottom side of the ball, target the front of the ball. You're getting everyone to sort of attack in the same area of that enemy ball. I wonder if there's some of those sort of calls being made on some of these voice chats. These top teams are always iterating on how they can play better, how they can have an edge over their opponents. And if you assume everyone is in dot mode, then you can sort of go from there and maybe do a little bit of focus firing, even though you can't actually see a single friggin' portrait of anybody.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, like, kingdoms are in leagues based on kingdom age, but it's almost like you need leagues based on, like, age plus KVK win numbers. Like, try to balance the power, because the power of those GT marches is just insane.
Yeah, and you know, for GV77, this is their second season in the realm of Anubis. They are former realm champions of Bastet, and I think they might have also won Sobek. I'm not sure, but they won Bastet in the past. They actually only finished, they lost in the quarterfinals of Anubis last season. They lost to Evil Empire. And now they made it to the semifinals this year. And honestly, to me, this is like a pretty good performance from GV77. Like, their side play has been quite good so far. I mean, we've got 23 minutes left. It's going to be great to see if they can continue to put in work. We're seeing again at this Desert Altar that Wild Lion and Mr. Hope are both sending their marches forward right now. So they're putting in work, and actually a Wild Lion rally on the way to this Desert Altar. So pretty good performance by GV77 all in all. And you almost wish they had fully committed to that obelisk fight to just make this game even more chaotic and actually put 60 GT in a bit of discomfort.
Yeah, I think the chaos of the sorts of questions that are like, hey, do you know how to react to this, is a good kind of chaos for them to create. That said, GT is pretty experienced. They're gonna probably have an appropriate response to just about any kind of play you could cook up here. I mean, what kind of play could we cook up? Well, we're doing it on the fly, but like, what could you come up with to surprise GT? I can't think of anything that would really surprise them.
I think what you do is you take one of these altars and then you redirect marches from another lane to help you defend it, and then you sort of like reject their take back attempt. Like, instead of just letting GT take back all these buildings, you add to your defense and then like further disrupt them by like making them fail on their take back attempt.
They just put a huge amount of troops in places they're not expecting them to be, sort of.
Right. I mean, like this take back of the Sky Altar is pretty trivial, right? It was just the existing defenders, and GT just took it back. But GV77 is working on the Desert Altar attack. They're working on taking GT's Desert Altar. And what if you just have all of the outside lane players walk over and help defend that Desert Altar? And at the same time, you do have Master Strategy in your back pocket, so maybe you win the last arc. Maybe you win the last arc quickly, and try to warp it back home. Although GT is actually defending well here. This was a very serious attack by GV77, and GT is actually just dealing with it.
They have a Jan Zizka garrison here. Kind of cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Very interesting. I wonder if it's the backup or if it's...
That's what I'm saying. Like, why... If they use Jan Zizka, it must be that they think it's better than Eleanor. I'm not sure why they would use it otherwise. And I'd be shocked.
In the off-season, right? So, like, maybe they're just, like, going to build Eleanor in Mightiest Governor. Like, they're going to get those free Eleanor heads in Mightiest Governor.
They even have the Joan as a captain right now. That's a little sus.
Maybe well, she looks like Eleanor.
Maybe there was a little backup captain situation there.
Yeah, because this has been the Hera. This has been a Hera garrison for most of the match. So Jan was probably just the backup.
Yeah, that sounds right.
We were talking about how long the fights took in the Realm of Sobek match that we cast earlier. But how long are these fights taking? Like, these altars are under contention for like 2-3 minutes at a time.
When the damage is higher, it's easier to take buildings, actually. And mid-fights are faster. It's like harder to get back to a mid-fight and be relevant. So you would actually think in this league that the building game would be more of a thing, relatively speaking. Just because, like, if the DPS is higher and walking from cities to reinforce is a big part of it, right? Like, you're definitely advantaged to press buildings.
Absolutely. And I think the fact that some of these fights are taking so long shows how close a lot of these mid-fights are, or how close a lot of these side fights are.
Okay, so here's a question. Could you check the scoreboard real quick for some of the other matches going on right now? Chat is saying there's something really big happening in the 1188. And I think, are they fighting 93?
They're fighting 93. Yep.
It might be worth just a scoreboard check over here on that one, because
take a look.
apparently that's about to be a huge upset. Potentially, but I don't know what the score is. But Chad's talking about it like they are smacking their lips over the Oryx they're about to pull down. So let's see if we can just get a little score update as we go here on this. And it does look like GT scored the arc very early, which I applaud. I think that is totally the right play for them. So here's the thing.
On my, it looks like 93T is up 2,500 points actually.
Oh,
Now I don't know what the arc. I'll load it in and see where
maybe,
the arc is at. But
yeah, maybe they
they're
feel
holding the arc.
Yeah, if 1188 has the arc, the 93 is up. 88 has the arc. Chat says, okay.
Yep, they're holding the arc. Yep,
Okay.
88's holding the arcs right now.
That's going to be one of those down to the wire matches. Appreciate you going and checking out the scoreboard there.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, there are some very big matches happening right now. Everybody likes the 15 UTC time period. Somebody in Discord, the RLK Discord earlier was like asking me what match I was casting. It wasn't theirs. They were like, oh, that's too bad. We were not able to cast everything because everything is happening right now.
I love 15 UTC. I'm much more awake for 15 UTC than I am 13. 13 UTC is like, hey, it's the morning. I just rolled out of bed, you know, had some breakfast, but like not ready to take the day yet. But 15 UTC, hey, we're cooking. My most productive time of the day. And GT has been pretty dang productive on these arcs. They're coming back for this next one. And, you know, we peak the combos. Nothing too unexpected here. There is, I mean, bless them. They're still bringing Ethel. And let me take this simplify graphics here off.
I'm seeing some Ashers. I think it's interesting to see. I'm seeing Ashers and Boudikas from 60 GT. And actually, GV also had some Boudikas at the start of the game. I thought that was because of the March speed, just to get to the first fights early. But still seeing some Boudikas out here, and Asher definitely getting some run here. So it looks like maybe some teams are going with 2 Archer Marches for that extra AoE in these mid fights.
It's a little surprising, honestly.
I mean, if you can get to mid on time, like, why not? Why not?
Big captain blunder here. They go back to the Jan Ziska, but it wasn't Asher Benapal, which can't possibly have been right. That is going to cost them the Desert Altar almost certainly. It's going to be very hard for GT to stabilize this with the heavy swarm that's going on. Yeah, they just didn't have the troops there to account for that error. And at the end of the day, I actually think it's not going to matter for them. Although
they're getting cleaned up, though. Their field here is getting cleaned up, and
is GV going? Wait! They're going Ob again. I think they're going to go Ob again. Are they? Oh, they changed direction. If I were them, would I go Ob? Like, they have the numbers.
There's no point. There's nothing. You can't.
No, there's no
anything.
way. Yeah. There's too many marches refreshing here for them to actually take the Ob. No way.
They have to flank them. They have to use this win they got on the bottom. A pretty significant win for GV on the bottom, and they have to just try to flank.
Yeah.
The mid presence, but like you can see the numbers. Like GT has so many more people mid.
The timing is just going to be really bad for this.
They're going to get reflanked. Like GV is going to try to flank, but then the marches from 60 GT cities are just going to like come from behind and reflank them.
Yeah. I think this doesn't net out positive for 77, but I will say that who's got this quote? Is it Einstein or somebody about insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome? Like, they have to do something different. So it may as well be this if there's no other thing that we can come up with that's different. You see what I mean? Like, we kind of knew the mid fight would favor GT. We did that the last round. We know how it went. And it's like, okay, well, you can't just do that again and expect a different outcome, right?
Right.
So,
and they have absolutely surprised GT. They took both of their buildings on the top side. And they're probably going to hold it. You know, they're probably going to hold it against this Tariq rally that's literally getting swarmed down as it walks there. None of this bodes well for the mid fight because all these marches are not mid.
Yeah, no way. No way. If they couldn't win mid when they had everybody there, they're not winning mid when they don't have everybody there. So I think chaos and having GT have to do different things is certainly a solid way to try to get edge somewhere and hope for a blunder. But blunders are just so unlikely.
Nice choice of a rally here, actually, with the Tariq Pakal rally, because they're going to swarm it down, and it's just going to weaken those marches further. It was like a trap rally where they knew they weren't going to win, but they're going to get the swarm damage.
You don't normally see a Pakal rally because the DPS is too low, but that's a great point that in this particular situation, like, we're probably not getting it with this rally, so let's just see if we can get some counterattack damage on the people that swarm it. Because it is a downfield position that takes a lot of effort to reinforce. And I think they're giving on this Shrine of Life, which is definitely a bummer for GV because they're at 820 points per minute. They would love to maintain that if they could because they know they're going to lose this arc too. There's the bog down. Interesting that GT is deploying a skill here. What are these 77 marches doing? They're sneaking around the back. There's no way they like.
That's Shark. That's their leader. That's their shot caller, Shark.
There's no way they take the arc to this desert altar, right? Like that doesn't make any sense. Master strategy. Here we go.
Okay, yeah, master strategy mid, and that's why Shark was rotating around there because he was going to cast the skill, and so they're trying to time this perfectly to grab the arc and have it warp away immediately as soon as they grab it.
GT got it.
But GT grabs the arc.
Oh wow! It was a nice thought.
It was pretty cool. That was
it was a nice thought. It was a nice thought. I mean, you gotta take 1% plays against GT. And I applaud. Yep. If that had worked, they win the game. Actually,
right.
That was a brilliant play from 77, and handled expertly by GT. Right, like that was the play they had to make. And hey, you miss a 1% shot. At least you took the shot that could have won you the game. Right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we literally started this match talking about 1% shots. We've seen GV77 take 2 1% shots. The first one was more theatrical and lasted longer. I think that 1% shot was actually the better one of the two, right? Because it cost them less, relatively, and it felt like it had a decent shot of working. Actually, it felt like
I feel like both of them were good plays, like to be making, especially that master strategy. Like literally they win. Literally they win the game if that had worked, right? Maybe they win. They have to then hold buildings, but like I actually really like that choice for master strategist.
It was well executed. That one was better executed than the obelisk steal. The obelisk steal was too half-hearted, but that one right there, one player, one master strategy, and they almost got it. Yeah.
I mean, they were seconds away. That GT player is going to get a pat on the back for picking up that arc, let me tell you.
Yes.
And I think the tricky thing about that play is that what's the wind-up period for master strategist? How long is that?
It's like 20 seconds.
20 seconds.
It's 20 seconds.
And it's 10 seconds to pick up the arc. So the second that you see that yield go down, you have to be picking up the arc if you're GT, because your goal is just to pick it up at all and then you disrupt the maneuver. And the tricky bit is that if 77 delays picking it up as well, they run the risk of what happening. But if they pick it up early, they also run the risk that their carrier gets killed. So it's much harder to pull that off because there's so much danger for 77. They have to basically try to grab it instantly, because if they delay, what we saw is a possibility. But they then have to live for 10 seconds, which against a GT ball is unlikely. I don't know, it was a cool play.
Yep. And they have to time the actual warp correctly, right? Like there's a lot of lag there. You have to place 2 circles, right? You don't just place the circle mid. You have to go back to your obelisk and place that circle as well. Mm-hmm. And so you have to time that right while also knowing when the arc is going to spawn. And I think they did that part right. I think they placed the 2 circles in time, and so that part was good.
You know what would be really saucy? I mean, I don't think this is a great idea, but like, what if you put the second circle on the enemy obelisk? I'm serious, right? Like, then even if it fails, you're attacking the enemy obelisk. and all you have to do is like like swarm it and then cap it. I don't know, like it's risky, but nobody's at their cities, right?
There's something to that with like the first arc of the match, right? When like you have all your marches, right,
know.
and you try to warp the arc.
Yeah.
And if the warp doesn't work, you at least like warp the city, all your cities to the enemy obelisk.
Right.
The problem is then you have the arc there. Then you don't want the arc. You know, it's like you're happy that you got the warp, and you're happy that you grabbed the arc.
You got to score
it. Really upset at where the arc was taken.
Yeah. No, you have to
to take the obelisk.
Yeah, you have to take the ob, which you should be able to do because you just took your whole mid team there. It's like 30 marches. You're gonna outnumber them. As long as they don't have it fully garrisoned, which like I think teams of this caliber keep their ob fully garrisoned, right?
I have my doubts because we see so few obelisk attacks. I mean, these obelisks have had like 2 attacks like all game, and they were probably right at the beginning. So
yeah, I think it's not uncommon to empty the ob in favor of doing other stuff. And if that's true, then Master Strategist on the ob is pretty cool. Because even if you don't get the arc, your whole team is now on top of the ob, and like you could take it, theoretically. You won't have a garrison though. I don't know, man. I'm on another planet with some of these ideas. But that's kind of what it takes to beat GT, I feel. You gotta cook something up that even they are like, I wouldn't have thought of doing that. That's pretty weird.
Yeah, we can actually look at it. 15 minutes ago, both of GT's obelisks got attacked. One had 320k in it. The other one had 560k in it. They did have garrison captains, but yeah, definitely not full obelisks. I don't know. I like the idea, Chiz. Maybe I'll do it in my match at the 20 UTC today.
Oh, you're not supposed to tell everyone.
The team. I'm not going to say how many KP our opponents have. So.
Oh, okay.
But you're right. You're right. They'll see us, and then
the
they'll be
secret
like,
tactic, bro. You just gotta hope 60... none of the 900 people watching tell your opponents what's about to happen.
When do you play Arc? You play Arc at 15 UTC usually?
Yeah, that's usually when the Arcs matches are run. I haven't played Arc in a while. Obviously, I'm casting now.
It's the best, man. Arc is absolutely the best. It's the way to catch up with people who you've played this game with for a long time. It's a reason to get on voice every other week. It's just like for me, it's like just a great social event where we all just get to hang out for an hour. We usually talk after the match for a little bit too. And, Arc is just so cool, man. It's so cool. It's like a great game, but it's also a social gathering.
The social aspect of Rise of Kingdoms is really... that's where it's at. That's the most underrated aspect. By the way... look at this Desert Altar Gorgo. Holding on. See? Buildings are flipping. I mean, at this point, Arc is capped. Score diff is 6,000. 4 minutes left. You know what would be interesting to see, though? Chat is losing their mind about 93 right now.
Let me look. I got the match up.
Yeah?
So 93T... I mean, I think there's a delay on the specking, but on my screen with 3.5 minutes to go, Lively has 188 has a 1k lead, and the arc is just like donezo, right? 188 won
has the arc been scored?
Yeah, there's been 3 arcs scored, and so just like over. So it's really like down to the gatherers and some building stuff right now.
Oh, so it's not over. Chat says
No,
93 wins.
over.
I never forget. 93
yeah,
used the teleport skill and did not get the arc.
So both Master Strategy in both of these matches for like the steal.
Yeah, it turned into Master Flop. And it's yikes. Well, I mean, the real question is like, did 93 need to be using a 1% play? Maybe they think that for them it's not a 1% play. I don't know.
I mean, it's like a super close match.
Yeah,
I guess
1,000 point game. That's about as close as it gets.
And T has the occupation lead by like a ton.
Honestly, this match is like really close for a GT match, you know? Like GV did extremely well, and so did GT, obviously. But battling into this opponent for GV to have it even as like a 6,000 or 7,000 point game is pretty impressive.
Absolutely. And one of the things we're seeing in Osiris League this season, for whatever reason, is like buildings are flipping a lot. No team is like is super good at just keeping their buildings held, and so that just creates like a dynamic battlefield. And GV77 has done very well with that dynamic battlefield. They've flipped buildings, and they made GT a little bit uncomfortable. And so the game is changing, and it'll be very interesting to see GT going forward. I assume they're going to probably play 2489 next week, unless Evil Empire pulls the upset. So quite frankly, next week is an even bigger test for 60 GT as they try to win the realm of Anubis.
"17 seconds left on the clock for the arc. 120 left for the match.
Master Strategist
44
will be on cooldown. It's
at the
Master Strategist
temple.
is on cooldown, so
Yeah, no shenanigans possible, right?
no shenanigans possible. But like GT is like oddly casual about this arc. Like they
Yeah,
have, like,
they are.
basically no one mid. I mean, this is where you just like you trust in math, right? You're like, we know when they cast Master Strategist, we know when the cooldown of this skill
They're
is.
going middle. I don't know that they do trust the math. They're going middle. They're like, hey, yo, hold up. Wait a minute. I think it's good they're going middle. That's like, why leave this door open? Right? Arc is in.
So GV grabs it.
Where are they going to go? Whatever they do with it, it's got to be perfect.
They grab it and take it towards GT.
I mean, that's because all this GT stuff's over here. They don't know that more GT stuff is coming for them, though.
Yeah.
This is where Fog of War is like a really cool addition to the game. Dust up.
Yeah, with Fog of War, you also don't know how much gathering the enemy is doing. And so
True.
like the score is close enough where you're like nervous. Like, is this other team gathering a ton and they're going to suddenly drop 3K, 4K points on us? I will say I don't think the GV77 has gathered hardly at all in this match. I would predict that 960 will have more gathering points when this is over. So that's not going to be like a big like last second surprise or anything.
There it is. Wild Lion, the MVP. 60 GT, the winner. Who won between 93 and 88?
Let me look real quick. 93T won the match. 93T.
What was the score?
Points. It was 31K to 30K.
Wow.
Wow. So chat did an amazing job of like reverse spoiling everybody on that one.
Chad always declares the victor before it's over, man.
Yeah.
It's just
Chad
the nature of
tricked me
the
that time.
beast. Oh, gosh. Well, if you enjoyed the games, throw a like on here, subscribe to the channel. Our channels are also listed down below in the comments, or rather the description of this stream. Appreciate having the opportunity to cast with you again, Brian, and we're looking forward to the finals starting next week. They're going to be best 2 out of 3. You're not going to want to miss it. So smash subscribe so you can be in a front row seat for all the action. And until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom.